Hey tubes, this is El Viejo Toro for Fancy Action Now, and here we are in the beautiful Zen Studios. Fancy Action Now Studios doubles as Zen Studios, but here we are in the Devonses of video game greatness. We are ready to do our Nintendo rant a la my Switch shirt. This is my Nintendo Switch shirt for my Nintendo rant. All right, listen. Here's my Nintendo rant, and you know what's ironic is, as a YouTuber, I want to discuss this very quickly. As a YouTuber, sometimes before you do your video, you'll watch one of your favorite videographers, and they'll do basically the same video you wanted to do, and you're like, oh, now I'm a copycat. You know, it's, listen, he used to be very big, and then I'm not quite sure, but I think he went through some health problems. And then he came back big in my game, Retrogamer3. Okay, so this video is going out to Retrogamer3. I am a fan before, during, and after. I like his channel. He uses a lot of the F-bomb and a lot of curse words. He's like, hey man, I'm gonna speak, you know, he's a single guy. He's like, I've got no kids around. I don't have that luxury. I do have a child, and you know, I'd like her to actually be able to watch my videos occasionally if I'm watching them or that's up there, she pulls it up or something. So, you know, I'm concerned about that as a parent. So, I don't think he has that concern. I curse every now and again. I mean, you can find, occasional bad word in my videos, but it's very rare. Very rare. I would say, if I was rating myself, I would say PG-13 would be my rating. He's more of like an R or an 17 and under, maybe, or over 17 and over, something like that, 18 plus. Something like that, just for language alone. But his videos are excellent. Retrogamer3. Go check him out. He just did a fan remake himself. Along with there was some game testing help. He cited some dudes that helped him game test and do music. But he basically redid Faxanadu, which is one. I love Faxanadu. Back in the day, it had this kind of weird, like mustard monochrome color look to it, and it had this weird kind of Baroque art style, but very back in the NES days, very pixelated, and primitive to today's standards, but even like 3D Dot Heroes and stuff like that, you can see shadows of Faxanadu there. A lot of people say Zelda, well of course Zelda, but even a little Faxanadu I think in 3D Dot Heroes, but Faxanadu. Go check out Retrogamer3's redux of Faxanadu. Please do it. Do it now. I'll wait. Okay, so we're going to talk about Nintendo. We're talking about Nintendo Switch. And I've really done this video before. Retrogamer3 did it. In other videos, just as like mini rants, there's like a couple spooky game videos I put out that have a lot of that. There's a little bit more content as well. And what I said in one of my earliest videos is that Nintendo will blend their portables with their home console. The Wii U lost a tremendous amount of dollars, which they're still losing money. You have to remember, they have contracts, they have to keep up production, or whatever they do, they have to support that product, and that product has failed. The Wii U is a failure. Nobody cares. There are a few that do, but majority of people are like, yeah, PS4, I'm playing online, I'm doing Destiny Strike. Well, what's going on with the Wii U, huh? Okay, bye. It's like, Wii U is like that, oddball relative that you get a report on every other Christmas. It's like, wait, Henry's in like a Bhutan prison now. Okay. Well, okay, send him a card. Whatever. It's like, the Wii U. Is the Wii U cutting any ice with anybody right now? That is a current console. But enough of the Wii U. The Wii U, in my opinion, is the Nintendo's Sega Saturn. Bad launch, bad marketing, little to no third-party support, okay games. I mean, it's like, I love the Saturn. Don't get it twisted. I love the Saturn. Collecting Saturn import games, which is really for it's almost like Neo Geo now. It's like getting to be the upper class of games. I'm glad I got in when I did, because God knows I can't afford to collect for that Sega Saturn that much. You can. I mean, again, there's like again, I picked up for I think it was under $10. I think it was like $8.99. I got Last Bronx for the Sega Saturn, and I played that for like 3 days and just had fun with it, and beat Red Eye and smacked him around regularly. So it's Sega Saturn, but the Wii U. The arrogance of the Genesis and the Sega CD and the 32X and all that nightmare. Then we go into the Saturn and the kind of the pre-launch and the lackluster support and bad decision making. Again, I've talked about how that was Sega of America by design to help Sega out of the market so Microsoft could step in. But Nintendo, the same thing is happening with Nintendo, in my opinion, in regards to Microsoft again, because Microsoft is trailing the PlayStation. They've come back up, with the S and all that, and they're selling those gangbusters. So, but both Sony and Microsoft would love to tear into Nintendo, into that hardware market. They would love to see, Microsoft and Sony would love to see Nintendo do what Sega did. Wouldn't that be cool? A Nintendo-Sega merger. I think you might see that if you see Nintendo step out of the hardware market. The Switch has to hit. The Switch has to hit. The Switch has to hit. Or Nintendo will no longer be a console company. They will go back to mobiles. They'll say, mea culpa, here's the 3D XS, whatever it is. They'll come out with a new portable system, and they will be a portable company, and then they will take their IPs and put them on the more popular platforms, which will improve the quality. The Wii U, from a gamer perspective, the Wii U is a failure. From a sales perspective, it was great. But again, one of the things that people talk about, they sold all those Wii U's and they made a lot of money. They did. They also invested a lot of money, and electronics don't have a high margin. You don't make like 40 points on a console. You might make 5, you might make 10, you might make 15, maybe 20. If you're making 20 points on a piece of electronics, that is the gravy train. They don't make that much on electronics. Electronics, a lot of high development, a lot of, expensive components and materials. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's the way the business works. I know. For a multi-billion-dollar retailer, I handled their entire what they would call hard home business and electronics. I know. So I know right intimately. So what kind of margin there is on electronics. And my job really was getting other things to boost the margin on electronics so that it was more profitable for the company. So, I sold you cases and memory cards and all those things that have high margins to offset the incredibly low margin of hardware. So, and the reason I'm going down this very boring road is you have to understand that hardware is expensive. That's why the big boys do it. That's why there's like these major monoliths that do it, because they have to dominate the market share so that when they come out, they have to, because of the monopoly laws, they have to have 1 or 2 competitors in the market. They really like just to have 2 biggies. Again, it's Android and iOS, Coke and Pepsi, Burger King and McDonald's. And one is usually the weaker of the two, or is a little bit more niche-y. But it's not a monopoly. You got 2 competing, companies. They're constantly competing with everything. But if you notice, anytime anybody gets into that market of the 2 biggies, and really threatens to be a third, like a strong third component there, they generally beat the heck out of them and keep them down and keep them down, keep them down, and like they're like upstarts, and they give them a little slice of the market if they're savvy. If they're not, they just chew them up and destroy them, or co-opt them, consolidate them, and just buy them out or whatever. But now we're into that company paradigm. If you remember way back, if you look at the PS2, Xbox generation, you had, PS2, Xbox, Dreamcast, GameCube, you had all of these and all these weird, you had weird players out there before that, 3DO, CDI, 7 consoles in that generation, something like that. It was crazy. And the market always consolidates that and chews those up with the less successful consoles, because you have to have the market share. You can't divide it up too small, otherwise it doesn't make sense, okay? So now you got these two biggies. You've got Sony, whose video game division is one of their only profitable divisions at this point. So they're like, that's a big deal to us. We want to expand that division. Again, a company says, oh, that division's doing well? Give them some more money. Let's open that up. Let's see what we can do. And then Microsoft's over here going, wow, we forced Sega out of the market. We took over their market share. Now we're one of the dominant players. We've succeeded where Sega, unfortunately, had to fail for that to take place. And we're competing head-to-head with Sony, who's electronics. They're electronics. I mean, that's what they do. One of the reasons I think they're more successful than Microsoft, again, Microsoft is a software company. Sony has always been an electronics company. One of the premier electronics companies ever in the world. So they're very good at what they do, so they are a hard competitor. They're a tough competitor. So, Microsoft's looking at this whole Nintendo thing. I'm like, okay, the Wii U failed. They're burning cash. Okay. They're right at the same position that Sega was at when they came out with the Dreamcast. And again, Sega had a very loyal fan base that they had undermined through, some of those crazy business decisions that we're not going to go over again with Saturn and Sega and 32X and all that nonsense. Okay, so they're in the same place. They're financially in the same place. If you hold up their financial charts right next to Sega's, they're in exactly the same place before the Dreamcast dropped. Okay, there's exactly the same place. So they're going to invest a lot of money, again, in an underpowered system to keep their costs low. They could, but they're not going to try and come out with a graphical powerhouse. There are already 2 incumbent providers doing that. And then there's a pro level now for PlayStation, and Xbox is going to do the same thing or do some kind of upgrade thing where the elitists or the PCers or whatever they can rope them in. And again, they're going after PC market share. They're going after market share, and they're going after mobile. They're going after PC. They want to pull you all in and get all your money into these nice streamlined platforms. A lot of pros in that. And again, they know that there are some hardcore PCers out there. They know that there are hardcore mobile, Nintendo mobile people out there. They know they're not going to get them, but they want the rest of them. And there's more of them than there are the hardcore nichier fans. And when I look at the Switch, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, you put the things and they're gonna get dropped. They're gonna get broken. The little stand that pulls out, they show you. They're like, oh, you're out and you need to prop it up. Here's a tiny little plastic finger to hold it down, but it's only this thin, and it's that's gonna break quick. People are gonna be torqued on the quality. They're going to be torqued on the quality. They're going to be torqued on the graphical level. It's going to be good. I mean, Nintendo's always been good, but you're not going to be having the same experience that you are on a 4K Xbox or a PS Pro. You're not. Okay. And the little switchy controllers, all right, this is the key, because controllers are huge. Microsoft, if you notice, both Microsoft from the Xbox 360 to the current gen and the PS3, PS4, they work on the ergonomics of those controllers. They know that's a key component. They learned that from Sega. Sega had the best controllers. They still do, you know, it's like, and both the controllers in the current gen are basically iterations of Sega controllers, not Nintendo controllers. And he made a mention, Retrogamer3, and he kind of stole my thunder. You stole my thunder! All right. He stole my thunder about the, he said, and this, I just said this, and this is what's crazy is that when you see stuff like that, you know, paralleling what you're thinking, it's just crazy. But they're like play school toys. Nintendo controllers, the GameCube controller looks like a play school toy. The Nintendo 64 is not even made for human beings, and it looks like a play school toy. Yeah, okay, so controllers are very, except for the original Super Nintendo controller, I think that was like their best controller, and then Sony took it and made their own. Yeah, I think Super Nintendo controller was probably the best controller, and it was a imitation of Sega. Sorry, it was. The NES and the Super Nintendo controller, I mean, it's not an evolution of that. They imitated the 6-button, you know, the Saturn, the Genesis 6-button, then the Saturn controller. I mean, that's that controller. Okay, so it's one of the best controllers out there. Mine still work perfectly. So, yeah. So the controllers on the Switch are junk. They're not even designed for your hand. They're designed for the screen, and then you pull them off and you're like this. I mean, they're gonna cause people problems if they game with them. I don't think people are gonna game with them. I think when you pull them off and you're doing 2-player and you're like this, and I'm sorry, guess what, Nintendo? There's a lot of teenagers playing your games, okay? There's a lot of kids who play your games, but there's a lot of us. Nintendo. There's a lot of us playing your games. There's a lot of grown-ups, grown men with grown hands that want a real beautiful ergonomic controller that nestles in my hand and I can play for hours, which I do. I'm thinking of getting that Flexor thing for my, because I get like joint cramps, I get like muscle cramps in my fingers and stuff, because I'm like my thumbs are powerful, man. I can like, I don't need the marker to vote. Boom. So there you go. I'm just saying, when I look at it, cool concept. Everybody knows I'm not the biggest Nintendo fanboy. I like Nintendo. Very much like Review Tech USA, I don't want to see Nintendo leave the console market, but I believe the Switch is their swan song. And they should not abandon their mobile, because they're going to be back. They're going to come out again with another mobile system, because the NX, you've got all the, and see, this is the thing too, and this is what hurts Sega. Your fans can only buy so many consoles at one time. And I think Microsoft knew this, is that what Sega did was, you threw hundreds of dollars at the Sega CD. That was $300 back then, which is like $600 today, or $500. It was 500 bones to get that Sega CD. Everybody was disappointed. The build quality was bad. And then there's the 32X, which was a complete JIT with no support. Okay, well, that's another $200. Okay, so now, you know, in those dollars back in that day, now you got $500 more money out of me for a $1.50 system. And they sucked. They sucked. I mean, you can be a 32X fan, great. That's the one thing from Sega I have yet to buy. I have yet to buy. I do not see the point of it. Okay? There's 32 collectors out there, they can do that for me. They can collect that for me. I don't want it. I don't want to deal with it. It's junk. The Sega CD I have, and there's actually some good stuff on the Sega CD. Even the packing that you got was pretty good, but not for the price. For the price, they should have given you one of those mega collections that you can get now for like, you know, $15. But anyway, I digress. But what Sega did was they saturated their own fan base. They overloaded them with hardware. You're only going to have so much in your home. So all the Microsofts, all the Xboxes, all the Xbox Ones, the Xbones, and all the PS4s, and now the Pros, and the 4K Xbox, and the people that already bought a Wii U and switched, and either pawned it, or it's sitting in a closet, or sitting on a shelf, who's buying the Switch? The diehard Nintendo boys will buy the Switch, but how many of them are there now? How many of them are there? It's not like there aren't consoles and tons of them floating around. You know, what I'm trying to say is it's a saturated market. And because the Wii U was so bad, the Nintendo boys migrated over to a lot of them migrated over to the Bone or the PS4. You know that's true. You know that's true. My own neighbor, I have a neighbor over here, and he had a Wii U, and he was just getting into video games. He was like, he had to, find something to keep him busy. He's like, yeah, I gotta find something to keep him busy. I'm gonna get a video game, and I got my Wii U, and I do the Disney Infinity thing. And he played that out, and he was just like, he got bored of it, and then there wasn't that much for him. He saw other games he was interested in. They were on another system. He got rid of the Wii U, and now he has an Xbox One. Okay? So how many times has that played out in this marketplace right now? How many people are going to lay out, no matter what price it is, don't care, it's not going to be $2. It's not going to be $2. It's going to be $3, okay? It's going to be $3 and something, or there's going to be a $3 and a $4 bundle or something like that, okay? What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about that? Oh, and if you drop that thing and crack it, guess what? What do you got? How many times do you drop a controller? How many times do you drop a controller? And then you're going to take it with you? You spent 4 bones, you're going to take it with... No, you're not. Are you going to play in a park with your Switch? No. Are you going to play 2-player games on this level of a screen with a controller that's freaking 3.5 inches long? This is what they were doing. This is what they were doing. This is uncomfortable. It's not ergonomic. Now, they will sell other controllers that are like more normal controllers, but the ones that you have with it, these little portable nightmares, forget it. Nobody cares. They literally took a nunchuck and turned it into a controller. Literally. And it's not gonna work, and it's not gonna go big. My personal impression, based on mainly the atmosphere of the market, the saturation of the market, the state of the economy is going to factor into it, a little bit of instability right now. I personally don't think, I think the Switch is going to be very similar. It's going to be marketed better, it's going to sell better than the Wii U, but not by much. You have too many people out there on the current gen. I think what they want to do is wait until the beginning of the next gen. And what they might be hoping is that there won't be another iteration of a console. There will be. There will be another Xbox. There will be another PlayStation. But I think Switch is probably, and you might want to buy one just for this reason alone, and get yourself a Wii U for collectible purposes, if that's your mindset. But I think the Switch will more than likely be the last console that Nintendo ever makes. Heads down. Thank you, Nintendo. Go the way of Sega. Partner with Sega. Become the third-party provider to the incumbent systems. That is going to be where your profitability goes. Multiple mobile platforms, big platforms. Honestly, every game that you put on the Wii, every game that you put on the Wii U could have been on a mobile platform, and you know it. You don't need a home console for that. Partner with Nabby Pad or something. Make a big pad. Something. Honestly, that would probably be a better business strategy, Nintendo. I want you to consider that, Nintendo. You're going smaller and crunchier in the age of tablets, where my iPad mini is bigger than your controller, and I'd rather play on that whatever I can. And I don't care about doing this, because then I can get a FireWire regular controller and enjoy myself if I wanted to do that. Or get a big Nabby Pad, boom. Again, saturated, Nintendo, saturated. And here's the last word on it. Nintendo, and this is where Retrogamer3 stole my thunder again. Nintendo is a gimmicky toy company. They're going back to the gimmicks, and it will sell as a curiosity. I'm worried that not enough people will care. Not enough people will care to get the Switch. So we'll see how it goes with the Nintendo Switch. I hope it's successful. I hope it's interesting. I hope it does some new things for the industry, as I always do. I'm I don't want to say closet, but I'm kind of a quiet Nintendo fan. I mean, I like the whole atmosphere of it. It's kind of like when you go to Walt Disney World. Like, it's not reality, but it's kind of a nice atmosphere, like the main street, and everybody's happy and everybody's nice and everybody wants your money. But it's a false, it's in a false environment. But it's nice to go in. Oh, okay, this is how things could be. It's like Nintendo has that vibe where it's like everybody's cutesy and happy and funny and colorful and it's like, okay, yeah, it's cool for a little while. It's cool to take a trip to Nintendo Land, but I don't know if they're dealing with the real world. And I hope this gimmick pays off for them like it did for the original Wii. So keep gaming, everybody. This has been my Nintendo Switch rant, as only Fancy Action Now can do. El Viejo Toro, Fancy Action Now, the Zen Studios. You have a beautiful Turkey Day. Keep gaming. And I am not Bernie Sanders.